All right, welcome everybody to Cycle Jerks Podcast. This is a special episode for us. We're excited to get started with 2025, but we're going to take a look back at some of the high points of 2024. And man, we had a lot of episodes in 2024, and I was making a list of some of the highlights, and I needed more paper, and yeah, it was kind of crazy.
Yeah,
But
no, there's like what 52 episodes, and like I had to stop it. Like from your rule, like every episode can't be great, Dave.
yeah,
So
I know. But there's little nuggets within each one. So as you could probably guess, if you're familiar with the show, we've got Dave Dalton back with us. Dave left us in September to go run a Trek store, and but he's joining us for the year-end review. And then we also have Chris Padavana, current co-host of the podcast. Hello,
Ah,
guys.
what's up, buddy?
Yeah, welcome. It's good to see your smiling face, or well, I don't know
it,
if you're really
this is
smiling.
my first time with Chris. That's quite a pain cave there you got there, Chris. Where
It
are
is.
you?
Yeah.
That is my fitting station in my garage. I'd started a
Oh,
business when I first got up to Nevada City, Sierra Velo Bike Fits, and
oh,
so I kind of set up a studio, but it's since been dormant.
Hmm.
So
yeah.
not doing that right now.
I gotta have you come down and do a seminar in my shop on the importance of a bike fit.
Yeah, for sure,
So.
man. Dude,
Yeah.
you are
I'm not
kicking
paying
butt.
you though. I'm not paying you. I'm just I'll give you cheese and crackers, but I'm not paying you.
Hey, I need my appearance fee, okay? I got my fans there. You're gonna have a
Right.
line around the building, dude.
He will. You just put the word out that Chris is back in town.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So okay. Well, look, let's get into it. So, like you said, so many episodes. And when you try to just think about, like, to me, the first episode of 2024 was with pro skater Mike Rafter, who became, a photographer, and he's really into cyclocross racing, all around good dude. But man, he had a very, uh, just a tough story about the relationship with his father, and and his subsequent taking of his own life. It was
Wow.
very, very moving podcast, and tough. That was one of the tougher ones. And since we started doing this thing in June of 2021, and that story was I mean, we've heard some tough stories, but man, that was really rough. Um,
To even be in a position or feel like you could share something like that, in a podcast, that's pretty deep.
it is. Yeah. And he's at a really, I mean, he's at a really good place mentally about it. And he struggled for a long time, as you can imagine. But yeah, man, that was a tough one. And Mike's such a great guy. If you ever meet him, I mean, he's just like one of the fun, happy-go-lucky dudes out there ripping around the cross track and just being silly.
Yeah.
And he had quite the prolific skateboarding career, And
Yeah.
yeah, so anyway, that was how we started off 2024. And uh,
Are we going in chronological order?
no,
Yeah.
good
Because you
luck.
want to talk about, because I'm jumping on the moving thing. Like a lot of them, well, clearly there were really some inspirational people like that were on.
Definitely.
uh, you know, uh, People that were on like Simeon and
Yes.
Tara and Jeremy.
Mhm.
Um, there were other ones where it just like reeked of jealousy. Like I want to be David Lieb or Danny, like how do I get that life, right?
Right,
But in
right.
the category of like totally moving and tough to get through was that chat with Tara.
Yeah, yeah,
Like you want to talk like, oh my God, like Chris, you mentioned something about being in a position to talk about it. I mean, she was an open book,
yeah,
and she got pretty
Yeah.
emotional in trying to say it. But
yeah.
God, I commend her for like I was so I just impressed with how she was willing to share everything. And then I mean, from her dependency issues to her, her relationships and her battling back and her overcoming, well, not overcoming, but making a life after being paralyzed like that. Or
Yeah.
Yeah.
wow, geez.
Yeah.
That's a lot of self-work, or even is it Clarice?
Uh-huh. Yeah,
She,
Clarice.
yeah,
Oh
she
yeah.
shared some pretty deep stuff too, where you're just like, I mean, I remember listening to that and just thinking, you have to have done some work to be in a position to talk about that openly.
I think it's so honorable when somebody can bring up something like that and just own it. I mean, I think that it's natural for us. We have these moments where, it's just easier to bury it and not talk about it. And
Right.
when somebody is that open and vulnerable, it's just, yeah, it's honorable. They've come to terms with it, and they're just put it out there. And I think
Yeah.
that it's a great example for everyone else that has some stuff that they need to deal with and they haven't done so. So yeah,
But yeah,
Clarice,
to open it up, but then to just to build a life, another chapter of your life, right? Where, and I can keep coming back to Tara. Like she was at the top of her game,
yep,
right? Had this terrible accident, and then guess what? She's back at the top of her game now. I mean, she's,
yeah,
in the representing in the Olympics, the Paralympics. It's amazing, right?
Yeah.
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 Well, that
When
was,
it could have easily gone the other way, right?
yeah. And that's
For
the
sure.
story that you hear so many times. But, Tara was always, I had met Tara before the accident. She came out, we had opened Alameda Bike as a giant partner store, and she came out to help with the grand opening. And we did a mountain bike ride at Joaquin Miller Park. And I had met her a couple times, but I didn't really know her prior to that. But we rode together that day, and it just became like immediately just like a big fan. She was so encouraging to everybody and so skilled on the bike. It was just really, I honestly, I mean, this sounds terrible, but I'd never ridden with a woman or a girl that had those kind of skills before. It was really impressive. And so I became a fan, and then we kind of kept in touch a little bit, and then that accident happened. But even before the accident, though, my point was she was just a very inspiring person. And when we were putting together those races, her thing was never give up, right? That's not, I mean, you hear that from other people too. So it wasn't like necessarily a unique thing, but she made these little tokens that said never give up, and she gave them to everybody that was part of the Terra Yanis Classic, or at the time we were calling it the Race for Terra. And
Wow.
yeah, so she's a special person for sure. And we're kind of starting off on a kind of a heavy note here. There was a lot of silliness and a lot of fun that happened in 2024 also, and one of the ones that I think about when I think of that is Lindsay Richter and from Live All Ride. And when she was part of that, she was on Survivor season 2, and then she got asked to be in a Eminem music video, and she had to be, she didn't know what the deal was, but they were basically in survival clothes, and they were supposedly standing on a log. It was all green screen behind it. But then when the music video came out, she was actually in the toilet on a turd.
Yeah.
She had
Oh
no
yeah.
idea.
Oh no. That's
So
not
That's
good.
right. I forgot about that.
yeah, that was pretty darn hilarious, and definitely right in line with what you'd expect from Eminem.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. I completely forgot about that one.
Oh
Yep.
man, that was pretty hilarious, you know. But Dave, you brought up Danny Josa and Dave
Yeah.
Lieb, and we also had Eze Helmrich on, who travels with Danny doing BMX, and it's a similar lifestyle to what David Lieb is leading, where they just ride their bikes, and
Yeah.
And they create content though. It's not just writing. Kind of like what Lenosky described. You got to kind of be a lot of different things to pull it off. You can't just be a writer for most. I mean, there's probably some guys that just ride, but
Right.
like David got really into video, doing his own editing. That's what Jeff does as well, and Danny and Ezekiel, they do similar stuff. But it's just pretty cool when you meet people that are in their mid 30s that they've never really even had a job. They just ride bikes, you know?
Yeah, and
It's pretty
yeah, and they
badass.
do, and some, and you know, and yeah, I mean, and it is definitely just a chosen lifestyle, right? Because they're just on the road, and that's what they want to do. I mean, well, even because even Danny said the one thing that could put the crink in my plans is now he has a steady girlfriend,
Hmm.
right? You remember
Yep.
that? And I'm like, okay, game over, you know. But
Yeah.
he said that fortunately, I guess she shares some of his interests and whatnot. But like, could you imagine me just sitting there going, "Hey, honey, I like I'm going to be gone for about 9 months. You know,
Right?
I'll send you a postcard."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
But
it,
you guys are all committed to your sport, but think about those guys who are young, the level of commitment you have to have with the distractions as a young man or as a
right.
teenager as you're going through there, to not go party with your friends or whatnot. So,
Yeah.
it's
That's one of the
huge.
things I love about Danny is his commitment to just clean living
Yeah,
and fitness.
yeah.
He's a real fitness buff. And it was funny when he was at our house, we were just talking and I was giving him crap about his shirtless Instagram shots from time to time with his six pack. And I go, yeah, well, you let everybody know you got a six pack. He go, okay, oh yeah, brother. And then
uh,
so then I was asking him, I go, how do you get it? He goes, oh man, and he just hops down on the floor in my kitchen and just starts doing these different exercises.
oh shit.
He's like, I do these everywhere, man. He says, I go hiking, we'll be up on a rock somewhere, and I'll just do my leg lifts, and do some crunches and whatever,
Oh,
But
yeah.
yeah, he's something else. And the thing about these guys that live that style, it's they're so much younger. Like I feel like their perspective on things is just so much younger than somebody who doesn't do those things. There's the bicycle's keeping them young and young and athletic. It's just really cool to see.
Yeah, but it's also, I also sometimes wonder too, and now I'm waxing philosophical, but is it also a generational thing, right? Because I'm growing up and I'm watching my dad and I'm like, oh, I guess I'm going to go work for General Electric and I'm sitting behind a desk for the rest of my life, right?
Yeah,
I think there's a new generation that's coming up that said, and it's a part like me, I'm telling my kids, right? You don't just go do something that you really want to do, right? And if it doesn't work out, then you can go start, but you don't have to chase the big money. And I think that they're coming from maybe a generation where people see that they don't want to be like their father, they don't want to be this, and it's like I'm willing to go and pursue a dream, right?
yeah.
Uh, uh,
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Jim Carrey, the actor, comedian guy.
yeah.
And he just had a quote where it's like, um, you're going to fail many times in life. So you might as well be failing at, shoot your shot, and
Hmm.
if you fail, you fail, but at least you're pursuing your dreams.
Right.
And yeah, I think, there was a generation of where it was like, hey, you got to get good grades, you got to go to college, and you got to get your degree, and then you get that corporate job, and and in a way that
Yeah.
was kind of pitched as a dream, but that sounds terrible to me. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, maybe I'd be in a better place financially, but so what,
Yeah, but would you be happier? It's like you think
Right.
about I mean, we've all been super, fortunate in this industry to not only do the work that we love, but all the perks that come with it. Think about all the trips and travels
Oh
and
man.
friendships you've developed, man. It's yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no doubt. All right, so let's see. Let's pick another one. So one of them that was kind of surprised was Michael Houghton, the Hottie, aka Hottie, he goes by, and he does the Marginal Gains podcast,
Right,
and he also does the Leadville Trail MTB 100 podcast. And it was clear he was a professional. This guy could really tell a story, had a great speaking voice, and but man, he kind of blew me away with some of the marginal gain stuff.
right, right.
Specifically, like I really like cargo bibs, you know. And he's like, he starts talking about two crumpled up wrappers from an energy bar in your bibs is like 10 watts. I was just like, oh no, I'm never going to be able to put stuff up, an energy wrapper in a cargo bib without thinking about these watts I'm now losing.
Maybe that explains it, Mike, because I know you always wear the cargo bibs, and I see that your year in Strava wasn't quite what it's been in the
Yeah,
past. So maybe
yeah.
it's just it's slowing you down.
All right.
It could be also just father time, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. But, if
Yeah,
you,
no, that was pretty incredible stuff.
yeah. Yeah,
And you
and
gotta,
the arrow socks,
yeah,
that's like the most bang for your buck in arrow land. Who would have
right,
thought, you know?
right.
Who would have thought arrow socks?
That's a lot of time.
But but then you gotta think, like, how many people like, how many people does that really affect and really care?
Oh yeah. Well, no,
You
that's
know?
that's one of the things that I love about the industry so much though, is because it doesn't matter what discipline you're into, it gets taken to like the nerdiest level, you know?
Totally.
Even the downhill, Michael Hottie was talking about how the downhillers now are getting into aerodynamics because through the course of a downhill track, it might be 3 seconds that changes you from first to second or off the podium. And the
Yeah,
guys
Yeah.
are looking at aero covers for their disc brakes. They're riding, back in the day, downhillers were just like baggy pajamas was what they were wearing as they coming down the track. And now they're all in these skin tight outfits, So yeah, it doesn't matter what discipline, in the bike world, we're always looking for that
well,
edge.
Watch
So
out. There's gonna be some shaved legs coming up here soon on those downhillers.
yeah,
yeah, yeah. Even Chris, I mean, I remember back in the day, you were pushing short cranks and,
Yeah.
and all, we're always looking for some kind of edge. And yeah, Michael, it's cool that he has that the capability to do that kind of testing
yeah,
for aerodynamics and whatnot. That's
yeah.
really cool value
Hey,
add to the industry.
speaking of short cranks, Mike, did you go to 165?
I am. I have them on two bikes right now. I need one more pair of cranks really. But
And you're a thumbs up to it?
I'm committed to trying it. It
Okay.
is interesting because the gearing, like it is like it does require more gearing, shorter cranks. I do a lot of
Oh,
climbing and I do a lot of steeper stuff, and yeah, so it's harder in one sense because you don't have the leverage on the steeper stuff, but the spin is better. So I don't know. I'm still open to it. I mean, the way I look at it is I spent most of my career on 170s, and now I'm switching to 165. So
right.
I've only got a
You,
few months.
right.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm committed to it. I think it is a better fit for me, and yeah, it hasn't caused any pain or anything like that. It's just I've noticed that because on my road bikes right now, I have 165s on my TCR, 170s on my Propel, with the same gearing, and I noticed that on the Propel, I can actually I can sense it's a little easier getting up the hill when it gets
Okay.
super steep. I can turn them over
Okay.
a little bit easier.
So that you're out of the saddle
Yes, out of the
referring to,
saddle.
yeah.
So if I
Yeah.
sit, I find with the 165s, I spend more time sitting and spinning, and that's cool too. So
Yeah,
yeah,
'cause
it's just an adjustment.
that's why I think those work for me because most of my style, when I was riding or racing a lot, was that I was sitting down, climbing, even sprinting. Like maybe an initial surge, but it was just like
Hmm.
in the saddle, just wind it up.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, I remember that about you. I remember we were riding back to Castro Valley one day going up, uh, I don't know, remember the name of it, the Dublin grade. And you were just sitting and spinning, and I was like sitting and then standing, sitting, standing, sitting, standing. I'm just going, Jesus, this guy. Just, and I remember talking to you, just like, oh, I'm just in the pocket, dude. I'm just in the pocket. I was like, yeah, you are in the pocket. You're killing me. Yeah,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
yeah. So I mean, the jury's still out. So we'll have to just see. And everybody's got different riding styles, so who knows?
Right.
You brought up Simeon Gibson from the senior games,
I
and
can only hope.
man,
I can only hope.
so 78 years old and still getting after it, and yeah, that was a fun one. You know, uh, it's really inspirational.
Thank God he
Um,
had someone to help him connect, right?
yeah, yeah,
He's
yeah.
not very
That's right.
technology savvy, but
That's
what a
right.
great guy and so appreciative. He was so happy to be on, right?
Yeah, yeah, it was cool. Uh,
But
yeah, we.
you know what? What has kind of uh struck me about that is there's some local guys here that like a local guy who's just in his 80s and a big guy on the riding scene, and he's just made the leap to an e-bike, so that he can go out there. Whereas, I don't know that Simeon would ever even consider an e-bike. This guy's just going to go and ride,
Yeah.
3 days to get to his tournament or to the games, or so.
Well, I think all of us will end up on an e-bike at some
Yeah.
point. Chris is already on them, you know?
I got them both. I got them both. Yeah,
Okay, yeah.
they have their place.
Right. But I just think like I've seen it with these aging roadies, There's a guy that runs the Sacramento Wheelman, this older guy. He had stopped showing up to the group rides, and then he got a roadie, and now he's back in play. And so, I mean, hopefully at that age when you realize that you can't no longer really do it or hang on, maybe that's the time you end up, just getting an e-bike and you could still get out there
Yeah,
and get
but when
after
does
it.
that come? I mean, Simeon just at his age is just
Yeah,
like he's just still getting at it, right? And I think he's so what do you say? He rides almost every day,
yeah,
right? And then he
yeah,
looks forward to competing. And e-bike or acoustic bike, right? I can only hope that I'm still on the bike at that age, right? I mean, I
yeah,
just at 80, 85, whatever the case may be. And I hope because honestly, I don't have any other I don't have any other hobbies. If I'm not writing, I don't know what else to do.
you take up
But
golf, Dave.
yeah, but
Uh,
he was it was really because he hadn't been doing it that long either. So it was an incredibly inspiring story.
Yeah,
So I
yeah,
would
no doubt.
encourage anyone to go back and listen to that one for
You
sure.
gotta you gotta
yeah.
stay active as you get older. That's absolute.
Right.
Um, yeah, okay, so let's stay on that thread of inspiring. We had Derek Teal on from Dialed
Oh,
Health, who suffered a near fatal uh, crash. He got hit by a car, and this guy was in incredible shape prior to. We had him on originally after he did a double Everest,
the double Everest.
which
Yeah.
is so insane.
Damn.
Yeah, and he's Everested on a mountain bike on the Braille Trail, which is a very technical trail in the Santa Cruz Mountains. This guy is an absolute savage, and unfortunately, he got hit by a car, hit and run, and yeah, and they left him for dead. And thankfully, there was a woman who, you know, I just remember the story about how she was a nurse and she pulled over and she got him what he needed when he needed it, and got him to the hospital and saved his life. And
Wow.
yeah, and his rehab story was really, really moving. And you never question a guy like that's commitment to health, obviously. I mean, he has a company called Dialed Health.
Right.
So, the guy's definitely into it. I saw him, he was at Sea Otter, and I was Saturday, and I was just heading up the mountain to go watch Dual Slalom. And I was a little late. I got kind of stuck at the booth, and he came walking up on a cane, and we just decided to take a seat and just catch up. But I was just so impressed that the guy was walking around Sea Otter, just shortly after this life.
Double take.
Yeah, I was like, whoa, man, But yeah, so he's a guy. If you're out there and you're looking for any help with fitness and just motivation, check out the Dialed Health
Well,
suite of
he's just
services.
posted that he went back to the scene of the crime, right?
Yeah,
He finally built up the courage to go back there.
yeah,
Um, and it's interesting too, where again, you first of all, his commit. I mean, obviously that is his livelihood, right?
yeah,
But again, like any of the like Tara or anyone else, to actually pull yourself back up and work that hard and endure so much pain to actually get back to riding.
yeah,
And honestly, what is amazing is I've had I have friends, a lot of people I know that have had lesser incidents or no incidents at all, and they just said, you know what, I'm done with the road. I'm going to ride off road, right? And
yeah,
I'm going to shift my focus. I get a mountain bike or a gravel bike. I just don't like being on the road anymore, right? And
yeah,
I'm too concerned. Here's a guy that almost nearly loses his life, gets back on the road, and then goes back to the scene of the crime, and he's out there riding again. So that in itself, I mean, you know,
yeah,
wow.
yeah. He set
Yeah.
a goal to Everest in I think it was Switzerland or something. But they
Yeah,
went to
yeah,
Switzerland for that Everesting thing, and he wasn't able to pull it off. It was just too soon after his, and he, knew that that was a super ambitious goal after something so severe like that. But yeah, just an amazing guy. Just keep pushing. Set goals, and do what you can to try to make it happen. And speaking of setting goals. We had Vince Murdoch on from Enjoy right after Unbound XL. Um,
Mm.
and he planted some stupid thing in my head about doing an event where you didn't know if you could finish. And so what do? I go and sign up for it for this year. So Vinny, thank you very much for that. Jeez. But yeah, what a story. This guy, MMA fighter, he's got a really rare brain disease, moya moya. And he's, uh, because of his, it's believed because of his commitment to fitness, that he's staving off this brain disease. And
Wow.
he's really an uncharted territory for somebody that has moya moya brain disease. And he
yeah,
is an inspiration to a lot of people that have this disease. They see what he's able to accomplish in his life. And, he's had a couple of interactions with some young kids that know of him and know his story. And yeah, but just incredible. But Vince did Unbound XL. He's only been cycling for a few years, but he's just thrown himself completely into it. And
wow.
yeah, 28 hours, 28
Yeah.
hours on the
I,
bike.
I my comments on that, and is first of all, listen to that episode. It will absolutely shatter your stereotype image of an MMA fighter.
Oh, for sure.
Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know why I even say that, but and I don't even follow MMA, but I watch the pre-fight interviews and discussions, and you conjure up this image of what they're like, and you get this guy on, and I'm like, no, there's no way he's an MMA fighter because it was all about, I don't know, he talked a lot about the mental strength, a lot about, but in addition to which, an incredibly inspiring story about going out and doing that, and that was especially with Moya Moya, but it was funnier than hell too. Remember he was talking about he thought about crashing his bike so he would have
Yeah. So he wouldn't have to finish. He thought
Yeah,
about
I wouldn't have
crashing,
to
so he
finish.
wouldn't have to
I was
finish.
going to crash. I really thought there was a point at which he thought about crashing, and he could say, "Yeah, I just had to crash out. I didn't give up. I crashed out." So
uh,
he had me in
Yeah,
stitches with that one.
yeah,
So
we've all been there, right? On the bike, like, oh God, please just get a flat tire.
yes,
some
anything,
some
right?
legitimate excuse to like stop.
All those
yeah,
demons running around in your head. It's just
I
you and
Right,
your thoughts. You're
right.
just
I did. I
beating
shared that
yourself
one.
up.
I was lost and found, and I was at like mile 40 something. And I was literally going, I could tell people that I had stomach problems and I had to bail, or maybe I should say I'm a mechanical. And since I'm not riding with anyone, who's going to know, right? And I
Yeah,
seriously, I fought that for 15 miles. And then finally, once I broke the 50-mile mark, I'm like, okay, I'm almost home. But I was,
yeah,
I was that close. I was that close.
yeah,
So,
yeah. It's going to be interesting. It's definitely going to, it's uncharted waters for me. I've never been on my bike that long, so it's going to be interesting. We'll see how it goes,
It ain't gonna be comfortable.
and definitely
yeah.
not.
But
Yeah,
Ain't comfortable.
tank gonna be good. Yeah, he told the story too. I guess last year they had the mud. It was like 3 miles of mud,
yeah.
and this brutal mud where like you had to lift your bike over and you had to walk through the mud, and people were
Wow.
losing their shoes. And I mean, it just sounded absolutely terrible. And still, I'm just keep thinking about it now. It's just like, oh, I'm such an idiot for signing up for this thing. So, anyway, the stories will be ones I'll probably tell the rest of my life. So I
Right.
got that going for me.
Hey,
But
hey, pick one that I wasn't on. I gotta duck out for 1 second. So pick one. You guys talk about
yeah,
one where I
yeah.
wasn't on. So
Okay. Well, how about
Ah.
we talk Michael Sayers? Uh,
Oh yeah, yeah, right. Mike
that was a
Sayers,
great
man.
one, man.
Yeah. He's a man. I mean, for me, like because I've known him for so long, he's just like such an inspirational writer. And I know there's some people that aren't really fans, but I just admire his tenacity and his
Yeah.
like not gonna take any shit.
Yeah, the thing that I loved about that podcast was when you were describing, going to these events and showing up, and then a lot of guys just be like, "Oh man, the freaking Reebok, Plymouth Reebok's here or whatever." These other teams, and he was just like, "Yeah, who gives a fuck? They got to deal with us."
Right,
It's like
totally.
you need, sometimes somebody's got to grab you by the jersey and just let you know, like, "Hey,
Right,
we're here to win." And that that's invaluable, I think, when you're on a team, especially a young team. You
right.
get somebody like that to get in your face and smack some sense into you. You've been putting in the work, you've been doing the training. Why are they going to beat you? You
Right.
got everything you need. Let's go.
Yeah, I mean
You
it's
know?
it's easy to fall down that hole, especially when there's other teammates, who are kind of
Yeah.
circling the drain like that, and so you need
Right.
someone like a Sayers to just pick you up because that's being a competitive cyclist. It's like we're in a bike race, you're all on the rivet, and it's like
Right.
who's going to give up first, right? And so that's where that mental game comes in.
Yeah. Yeah, well, they put their shoes on just like you, and they're just names at the end of the day. They're just humans,
Yeah,
just like you, and they've done some great things, and you haven't done them yet, but it's coming, and you need
yeah.
somebody like Michael to bring that out in you. Yeah, I was fired up after that podcast for sure, and and then Steve Westover too,
Oh
that
yeah, yeah. Steve
that
was that. Yeah, Team Booger.
yeah, that was really cool.
Yeah,
He's gone on to do a lot of really cool things with the junior development thing. And I think, there's real potential for that to spread. Like you said, he's got the kind of the home base and the infrastructure. And yeah, I definitely would like to see that spread with more junior racing.
yeah. That's a
yeah, we
that's a
definitely need more of that.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I don't know what the participation looks like these days with junior racing, but
Yeah.
it's so instrumental, to keep the sport vibrant.
Yeah. Well, I know like we had the Luna family on, and they have two young boys that are racing juniors. And I know that I want to say the youngest Luna is 13. I think he's Jacob. might be 14 now, but but a lot of times he has to race category up because there aren't enough kids. And then like he'll be in a group with like maybe 12 or 13 kids and he's up a category to get that level of, competition. So
Right,
yeah,
right.
junior road racing is not in the same position that mountain biking is thanks to NICA.
Yeah.
NICA's done an amazing
Oh,
job.
right.
Yeah, that's another one. Vanessa Oswald was on from NICA. Um,
That this
you know,
year?
it might have been last year actually.
Yeah, I think it was last year. I didn't see
Yeah,
her on the list, but yeah, that was
yeah.
another one. And that's something that Trek is more or less mandated. They're like, each store, go get involved with the local team, go get involved with NICA.
Oh,
So,
cool.
yeah,
Is there a Castro Valley NICA team?
it
There
is
should
the Hayward Composite,
Hayward
Oh,
right?
Composite. Yeah,
okay.
Right,
yeah.
Chris?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Hayward Composite. There was a Castro Valley team, and we did sponsor them. And I remember going to a race, and I was just amazed, blown away at the participation, the organization of the. It was
It's awesome.
outstanding. Yeah. Oh, I mean,
Yeah.
dude, if that was around when I was a kid, what a game
Right.
changer.
Yeah.
But then it
Yeah.
does, it bugs the question. And I mean, I don't know. It is, I mean, they're yeah, on the surface, you could say, okay, it's very obvious, but why doesn't that exist in the road world? You know?
Yeah.
And it's easy probably because it's easy to go to a mountain and keep all the kids together more so than it is on the road. But if you put some of that same muscle back into the road, why couldn't we resurrect that? Like, why isn't there another TNA Duro that was local here, or some other youth development team? So
Well, I know
Yeah.
with NICA, the issue is insurance, and they didn't even want us having the kids ride to practice at in the dirt. So basically we were instructed that the kids all needed to be driven to the park that we were going to do the practice at.
wow,
They were not to be riding their bikes from their
interesting,
house to the park because they didn't want the liability of somebody getting hit by a car.
right?
And they were very proud of the fact that they'd never had anybody die at the time. I think it was, I don't know, it's like 14 years. I think they were when I was involved in it. They hadn't had any deaths. And they attribute a lot of that to just the fact that everything's off road and it's in a more of a controlled environment. But
But to your point, Chris, I mean, I'm with you. I did one year with the San Ramon team, and the participation, the organization, the structure. You go away to a race and you spend a night at the course and watch what happens during the day. It's just amazing.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
And the parent support, there's just, RVs and,
yeah,
they've been there for a couple days maybe. And yeah, it's
yeah,
really
Yeah.
cool.
The other thing, what I was amazed about it, because it clearly does get into their soul, is on the San Ramon team, the number of people that stay involved even after their kids move on, right? The kids have
yep.
gone away to college, or grown, and the parents are still out there coaching. So it's I don't know, it's a
Well,
testament to.
San Ramon has an exceptional program. I mean, there's a lot of exceptional programs within NICA, but San Ramon does, they stand out. Ken Mozak was NICA Coach of the Year one year. He's built that program, and even a lot of the kids that graduate go to college. If they come back, they end up coming back
Yeah.
and coaching the team because it had such an impact on them, and it's a lot about who's running it. And Ken, had this philosophy about just personal growth,
Mhm.
and yeah, it just permeated everything that they did there. It's a super impressive program. I know
Okay.
when we got going with our Foothill Composite team, we thankfully we had people from San Ramon Valley that helped us out, Ken included, and another guy, Steve Schiffman, who was part of their group. Steve Finkston also. So yeah, we had a lot of help from the San Ramon Valley guys to help get us going at the beginning. And yeah, it's cool to see that, one of the things that we were preaching was we didn't really care if you raced or not. We wanted you to race And it'd be great if you did, but if you don't want to race, if that's something that freaks you out, uh, you don't have to race.
Yeah.
Just come to practice, learn how to ride your bike.
All
Let's
right.
work on bike skills, having fun. This is something you can do the rest of your life, and it's going to keep you healthy and active. And if you want to race, we're going to be there on race day. We did demand that every kid showed up for the races, so they would at least cheer on their teammates. But we had two kids that didn't want to race, and then but everybody ended up racing by the end of the year. So that was kind of cool.
Nice.
Good.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah. But
Hey,
yeah, good stuff.
hey, one guest I saw that you have on that I wasn't there. I'm very intrigued, but do you have the dude from Sea Otter?
Yes, yeah,
Rick
Rick
Sutton.
Rick Sutton. Yeah,
Okay.
I got so nervous for that one.
Yeah, you forgot to
I
introduce me.
totally blew off
Hi,
Chris. I just
everybody. This is Rick. He's here.
it was like 170 episodes in, and I'm just like,
Well,
you know.
that's how we were when Matt Fitzgerald was coming on, right?
Yes, yes. It was definitely very similar to those Matt Fitzgerald vibes for sure. We managed to have a really good podcast, so I think Rick's amazing, awesome guy, and I had to get out of his way, just kind of let him do his thing, and
Yeah.
yeah. But man, that was a cool one. That was a
Such a
big one.
genuine guy too. He's
Yeah.
yeah, super sweet and does good things and
It's so clear when you have these people on, it's so clear why they're successful, you know?
right.
It's there's just there's something about people at that level that achieve that level. Another one is Matt Harvey, the guy from Enduro Bearings. We had Matt on, and Matt's just been in the bike industry for a long time, product manager at Bianchi, and then started Enduro Bearings, and just one of these guys where it's just like it's so obvious why he's so successful. He's
Yeah.
just really good people and smart and you know focused on really trying to do the best they can at what they do. It's awesome.
Uh, I'm embarrassed to say this, that I probably should know, but the Sea Otter, is that all he does? Is that his? I mean,
Well,
what
Well,
he's
is
not
he?
doing that anymore.
he's not doing it anymore, but it
Oh, he's the
was,
found. Oh,
yeah, it was for a lot of years. But he also did the Norba National, right? Was it
okay.
Norba or what? Maybe it was
He,
UCI. I think it was
yeah, he
UCI.
he did the World Cup that was in
In
Skyline Park
Napa.
over in Napa. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, he was him and he had a partner in the Sea Otter Classic for a lot of years.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was kind of the face of it and
Okay. Yeah.
uh,
Okay.
took
But
it
he
from a
also
small event to this the biggest event in the industry, basically.
he also created one of the world's best displays, that Rock Shocks display. I was trying to find pictures. I cannot find a picture. It's like
Are you serious?
a display with like a Nerf hoop, and so every time it's just like shooting hoops in the bike shop.
Yep. Yeah, it
That was
was
great.
they only made 1,000 of them, he shared. But
Wow.
yeah, that was and we were talking about it's kind of an odd pairing, right? Rock Shocks and a basketball hoop.
Right.
What that has nothing to do with either thing. But it worked. And it was like we had a whole display of forks in our shop, and we had for the longest time the hoop was in the shop, and we would just play basketball with it. And then at one point we did a display out front, and then we put the hoop up there. And yeah, people would say, What? What's Rock Shock basketball? What? Yeah,
But that just that
just
type of
creative.
person who can think out of the box, right? Because you might normally be thinking, how am I going to display these shocks? And he's just like, let's have fun.
Yeah, let's not make it too technical. Let's make it fun.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. It's a
yeah,
great mind. Yeah, I love
yeah,
that guy.
yeah. Me too. Yeah, good stuff.
Speaking of just sit back and get out of the way.
Hmm.
That's kind of how I felt when Tyler was on the vegan cyclist.
Yes.
It's like, oh, well, how many times we went, let me, but
Hey, he's got the gift of gab, man. And
uh,
it's impressive what he's done. I mean, he's an incredible athlete and another guy like Lenoski, like Alib, where they're just they do it all. It's like I do the writing, I put these events together, the impossible routes. He does the editing, and yeah, man,
Yeah.
he's a
Yeah, and believe I'm not breaking his balls. I mean, it was fascinating stuff. The transformation, the body transformation that he talked about.
yeah,
The impact that he had had when he thought he had to be thin. Okay, you know,
yep,
now he's realized he's had that moment, and he realized how much weight he could actually put on and still perform. So that story in itself was incredible, and I think any cyclist should probably listen to that,
uh-huh,
so that they don't. You don't go through the starvation diet in order to be lightweight for the race, or for the season. So that was really, I thought was great stuff. But to your point too, I uh, remember he said like he does it all, and someone said something about Jeremiah Bishop, and he's like, well, yeah, because all he has to do is ride.
yeah,
You
yeah. He's
know,
competitive. He's very
yeah,
competitive too. You could tell like he wanted to beat Jeremiah in these possible routes. You think it's just a couple of dudes like doing these great rides, but no, they want to hurt each other. They want to beat each other. It's
yeah.
not like, it's not like you and I, Dave, going out for a little casual spin. No, 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 no.
I'm
You
like,
know?
I sort of always feel like you want to hammer and beat me too. So that's why I'm always chasing you up but okay, all right. Now that I know that you're not really trying to do it, that's good. No, but that's what he said, like leading up to an impossible ride. He goes, for 8 weeks, Jeremiah's training. He goes, I'm planning logistics. I blah blah blah. He goes, so it was
Yeah,
very funny to
it
because
was.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, that was a surprise to the podcast, I think. Because
yeah.
I just thought that they were, I mean, not that they're not great buddies, but there's layers to their relationship, for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
So that
Yeah.
was interesting.
One of the other ones early on in the year that really was great was with Michael Seeley. And Chris, you helped us
Oh,
get Michael on the podcast before you were co-hosting. And boy, man, that was a good one. And
yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
he's so smart, and just the way he approaches cycling and just, working with people, really interesting. And
Yeah.
Dave and I said we agreed to do some kind of something or other. It
Yeah.
never
Oh, what
really
happened?
materialized, but we were
Yeah.
going to do something. Because your inner voice, it was about your inner voice.
Yeah. Right, right, right. Yeah, well, there's a lot of those, unfortunately. So it's very crowded up there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
I still follow, when I do my social media posts and my weekly email or monthly email to the writing club, I try to mix in humor, some inspiration, and some industry news or some training tips or whatever. But I follow him religiously, and I steal a lot of his inspirational quotes that he posts
Yeah.
on Instagram, and
Yeah.
because it's some pretty good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I like that, he's talking a lot about, motivation and having a positive mindset and how to change, something that might be a negative into a positive. I mean, that's just so, not just in cycling. I mean,
In
particularly in
life.
cycling, it's very helpful, but just in life, yeah, it's like, like it's like a stoicism of sorts. And,
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
his point about negative self-talk, and it's like we all have you know, those voices in our head from time to time, whether it be on your bike or maybe it's a social situation, you go to a party and you don't really know a lot of people and whatever, you can either shrink or you can grow in those situations. And a lot of times it's that voice in your head that's telling you like, oh, that guy's whatever, so successful, or
All
or
right.
I don't belong here. These guys are all Ivy Leaguers, whatever it is, these
Yeah.
things that pop into your head, and I've really tried to eliminate my negative self-talk. If I catch it coming on, like his point was be the administrator, right? That was a point that he made. And he's like, you need to recognize when these things are happening to you and you need to control it. And that really resonated with me because I do have those moments. And, at the end of the day, it's like whatever your you're, self-conscious about is so stupid. You're like the biggest critic of yourself. Other people don't
Totally.
see you in that way. And so, yeah, just go out there. And if you put yourself out there and somebody makes you feel stupid, that's their problem, you
Right.
know? Yeah.
I struggle with it so much, and I've tried it. I really did listen to him, and I go through like I almost feel schizophrenic because I go through periods where I can eliminate it, but then there's other times like I'm going out for a ride, and I've planned everything out, and I get downstairs, I'm about to get on the bike, and all of a sudden I'm like, "You're a fucking idiot! You're a fucking idiot! You're a fucking idiot!" And Sue comes out, she's like, what happened? I go, I left my sunglasses upstairs. And she's like, you're a fucking idiot because you left your sunglasses upstairs. But
Jeez,
but but
man,
for
that's your
me,
harsh.
I'm like, I laid everything out. I got my garment, I got my socks, I got my shoes, I got a helmet. I'm going downstairs and I'm on the bike. I'm like, and
Damn.
she's just like, they're sunglasses, Dave, and they're right upstairs.
Hey, Dave, you're about to get on your bike and go for a bike ride. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah, I
what are
know.
you
That's it.
doing? You're
I
having a
got to be
temper
the
tantrum.
administrator. I got to
Yeah,
be the
Yeah.
administrator.
right.
Yeah. It's like,
Yeah.
Dave, they're on your helmet, Dave. Relax.
Yeah, that's. I know that's happened. That's
Yeah,
happened.
yeah, you come there all
Right.
pissed off. I can't find my damn glasses anywhere.
Yeah,
Son
but
of a bitch.
when that happens, that's when Sue says, "Yeah, you're right. You're an idiot because they're already on your helmet."
Yeah, but
So
yeah, Mike Seeley, man, that dude, when we raced back in the 90s, that guy is super fast, or he was super fast. I'm sure he's
Yeah,
fast still,
he
but
still looks like he's in great shape.
oh
So, and he
yeah,
rides a
yeah,
lot. So,
yeah.
yeah,
Chris,
yeah,
how do
no
you know
doubt.
him?
So we raced on the same team in 91 and 92 when he kind of migrated over from I think it was Minnesota or something like that, back in the Midwest. And yeah, it's like, man, I could not shake that guy. I would like launch a breakaway in a criterium, and it's like, man, that guy's right there. It's like I'm trying to go without a teammate, and he's right on my wheel. It's like, son of a bitch.
Yeah, well, he might have been playing mental checkers and he's playing chess. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
He
right,
had the
yeah,
mental edge
yeah,
back then. And so
yeah,
much of it, I mean, we always talk about the physical, and this came up with Matt Fitzgerald, the mental is where it's at, you know? Everybody trains. So if you had that, you're in a Cat 2 race or whatever, everybody's
Yeah,
training. So
right,
it's like,
yeah,
what's going on in your head?
right.
That's the
and
difference.
that probably, if you want to come full circle, is probably the largest marginal gain that you could have. If you have the right mindset, forget all the physical stuff, forget all the aero socks. If you can stay in that place,
Cargo bibs?
you know, yeah, cargo bibs.
Even with cargo bibs.
Yeah, Mike, you think what you'd be doing if you didn't wear cargo bibs and you eliminated all the negative self-talk, right? But
Right.
but it's funny. I say that a lot, but it's what 80% physical and 40% mental, right? You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
just like so much of it is, and that's where I think that could probably be the largest marginal gain. Like if you
Yeah.
can
Yeah.
hold that,
Yeah.
and I don't know how, and I use this example all the time. Like look at some of the pro athletes, right? Whether they're golf, whether they're, like the rookie of the year in baseball and he comes back in the next year and they call it the sophomore jinx, right? You can't tell me his skills are gone, right? He didn't lose his skills. There's something going on in his head. Like why does a golfer win 5 tournaments in a row and then all of a sudden the next year you don't hear about him? I can't believe that physically he lost it. There's something going on, the demands of being number one, whatever, that they're distracting. He doesn't have that same mental focus.
Right.
And that's why I think it's so that's huge. If you can, how you keep it and harness it, I don't know, but
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I remember race like I catted down and started racing again in 2013, and racing with the younger guys. Right, I'm in my 40s, and
Yeah.
these guys are in their mid 20s, and they're clearly stronger than me. But I just had that. I was still successful, top fives all the time because I think I had that mental edge. Like I knew how to race my bike. I didn't have to be the strongest guy. I had to be the smartest guy.
Right.
And so that like you said,
Comp,
it's
comp, you
all,
lined up confident in your ability, right?
yeah, right. Yeah. You're confident in your
Well,
There.
ability. You know how to play, you know how to position, or you know how to read a bike race where the others don't. And,
yeah, we had for a while at Giant, we had this guy Johnny Sunt, and Johnny was a national uh, pro road racer, for a lot of years. But Johnny, the sales rep for Giant, was overweight. Not a ton, but I would say he's probably 20 pounds, 25 pounds heavier than his racing weight. And so, but we would go out on, we go to the sales meetings and everybody gets out on the bikes and, it's a big throwdown, basically, is what ends up happening, right? Everybody talks, oh yeah, we're just gonna take it easy, just do a little. Next thing you
yeah.
know, it's just a all out dog race to the top, and Johnny could hang, you know, heavy Johnny. And I remember afterwards we were sitting there, and I was, he goes, he's just talking a bunch of shit, and I just said, I wouldn't expect you to hang like you do. And he goes, "Oh, that's like a low key diss." And I'm like, "Well," I go, "Look, you're heavy, dude." And he's like, "Yeah, I know. I like the beers." I'm like, "Yeah." But then he says, he goes, all those years of suffering, dude, I know how to suffer. I can suffer better than most
Totally.
people." And
Right.
it's just, a lot of people just check out. He says, "I can just hang in there." And he says, "So I just keep on keeping on. And yeah, it'll get you far."
Yep.
So,
For
yeah, back to
sure.
the mental. All this talk about the mental makes me want to get Matt Fitzgerald back on the pod again. Well, I'm going to revisit him.
He
You know,
said he would come back
yeah,
on after he had his new book, and
yeah.
it's got
The
it.
new
He
book's
had
out.
when he
New
said I
book's
have
out.
something new to talk about.
Yeah,
He said he'd come back, and I think that book came out.
yeah. Did you ever check that out? The How Bad Do You Want It book, Chris?
No, no, but I'm interested. I
Man,
like that. The topic
yeah.
sounds great.
He's got just these incredible stories of all these different athletes, different disciplines. He's a runner. So a lot of them
Hmm.
are running stories, but there were three or four cycling stories. He had Cadell Evans and Thomas Voeckler. Uh,
One
you
arm
remember
Willie.
One Arm Willie? We ended up having him on the podcast. But yeah, some great stories and just about your mental, so much about your mental approach. It was, yeah,
Yeah.
really great stuff.
So
Uh,
there's another one that I was and they don't quite achieve the celebrity status, but I really enjoyed the uh, Matt Swinnerton and Chris Didmore, who
oh
rode
yeah,
cross country, planned this thing for years, took
yeah,
what 3 months or something like this, and just rode cross country. And I'm like, oh man,
yeah,
I what a what a what an what an experience.
yeah.
So
And they did it the right way with hotels,
yeah, yeah.
not
Oh,
not
yeah.
any of this bike packing nonsense.
Did you listen to that one? Did you listen to that one, Chris?
No, I did not. No.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because it's interesting. I've known these guys for years. I started mountain biking, and honestly, I think I remember at some point they even say, "Dave, you should come with us." It was one of those things. I'm like, "Yeah, right, sure." Da, da, da. And this was, I mean, it was probably I don't know how many years in the making, but if they've been talking about it way back then when I used to ride with them on a regular basis, and now I only saw them on occasion, it was a long time in the making,
yeah,
and they finally pulled it off, mapped out his course. I don't, bless them that they had, and they said, we're very fortunate that had companies that allowed them to do that. They got these 3 months off and just rode. And, it was just, and you're right. They did it the right way. They took rest days. It wasn't Ram by any means, right?
yeah,
And just stayed in hotels and just just what an experience. I'd love it.
yeah, yeah. No doubt. Maybe someday, who knows? But
Yeah.
another one that stands out that was early on last year was Alex from World Bicycle Relief. And just the stories about helping these communities where like just getting water is like a 3, 4 hour endeavor for some of these tribes and these
Yeah.
underprivileged areas. And these guys are basically getting bicycles to areas of the world where it's life and death. It can be the difference between a young person getting an education or not, and really meaningful stuff. And that was just really cool to kind of bring that to light, what they're
Yeah.
doing.
I'm glad Trek has worked out for me, right where I am now, but I applied for a job there and I wanted it so badly just to be able to think like because if you look at the impact that their programs have,
Yeah.
it's just amazing.
Hmm.
Amazing the people that get access to healthcare, education, like empowering women.
Hmm.
It's just like, oh my God, you know, what, yeah. How many times can you find bike that benefits the world as much as that, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
I think all of us in the industry kind of have this, there's community service is part of it, right? I mean, there's something about when you at retail, when you make that sale to somebody and, you see them maybe 3 months later and they've lost 40 pounds or whatever, they're doing
mhm,
some, they're outside, they're more involved in whatever. There's something about that really makes you feel like you're not just somebody slinging vacuum cleaners.
yeah.
You're doing
Oh yeah.
something, that's really benefiting people's lives. But I think what World Bicycle Relief does, it takes that sentiment and takes it to the absolute maximum.
That's right.
That
Yeah.
I just don't think there's another organization out there. If there is, I'd like to know about them. Maybe we can get them on. But yeah, I don't think there's another organization out there quite like World
That's
Bicycle
it.
Relief.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I mean, like I'm very proud of the fact and I commend the Lymphoma and Leukemia Society for their team and training. And I did for 10 years, I did Best Buddies and the impact that they're having, right? And
Yep.
it is. It's helping cancer survivors finding homes for and jobs for intellectually and developmentally challenged people. But to your point, I mean, literally changing big chunks of the world, right? And by this simple $130 or $160 bike, the
Yeah.
Buffalo bike, I mean, you're putting food in people's bellies. Their people are taking their farm, the stuff that they grow and taking it to market, so they're actually making a living now rather than just sustenance. As I said, education, healthcare. Wow. It's just, in
Yeah.
in places that need it the most, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah. Certainly a lot of us want to do, we had the guy on from Try Funded. And he's got this website that's helping people that want to do athletic endeavors, you know, generate income. You can get people that the website helps you facilitate donors, kind of like a GoFundMe, but for athletes. And a lot of people in the bicycle world, they have causes that are near and dear to them. And what I would say is if you are a cyclist and you want to do something for charity and you do not have a cause, maybe that's near and dear to you, World Bicycle Relief is a great, great cause.
All right.
Yeah. So,
Well, even
yeah,
Steve Westover, right? It's like to
yeah,
join Team Booger. You got
yeah.
$100 to some with one of your favorite charities or a
That's
charity.
right. I
Yeah,
love that part of, I mean, Steve's so smart, and I love the fact that that's part of being part of the program,
yeah,
and it
for
gets
sure.
these younger kids looking at life a little differently just right out of the gate. He's
Yeah,
he's made this cool team. Oh, you want to be on the team? Yeah, you need to align yourself with a charity and donate $100, then you're on the team.
yeah.
That's really smart, really cool. All right. Well, listen, we covered a lot. There's still, I wanted to
more,
get
we
to,
got to do one more
oh, okay. What do you got,
because
dude?
we talked about Tara, but we glossed right over Jeremy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Razzle dazzle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Razzle dazzle.
Yeah. The
I mean,
paragravel cyclist.
yeah,
Oh yeah,
Yep.
there you
Yep. And
right,
that,
riding a bike, riding a freaking bike, teaching himself how to ride a bike, even
yeah,
though he basically can't feel his legs.
right.
Just wow. And it's not even that like I'm not doing this because I'm going to go get groceries, right? Or I want to be mobile. It's like, no, I'm going to go do Rebecca's private Idaho. It's
Right.
like,
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not trying to prove that I can do this, and so that I can ride around town. I'm going to go do like some of the hardest gravel rides on the planet, right?
Yeah. Yeah. You
So,
want to talk about never give up. That's like
yeah.
we were
go.
talking about with Tara. There's a guy, there's no quit in him.
Yeah.
And the things that he's overcome and, you know, just to be out there to take on, I mean, I don't want to go bike packing and I'm fine. I don't have a problem. But the idea of taking on bike packing as somebody with the limitations that he has, but he's another guy kind of like Vince, where he's just pushing the boundaries to of what's possible for someone in those situations and
Yeah.
inspiring many along the way. And I do want to say too, Rebecca uh, Rush should get some credit too, because she's been really instrumental in helping Jeremy along the way and encouraging him to try to make that happen. And you know, you get somebody that puts their faith in you and their belief, and that could really fuel you. And Rebecca's so inspirational in so many ways to
Oh, yeah.
so many different
Yeah.
people. Yeah.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah. Yeah. People like that are inspirational. But then sometimes I go, man, I bagged my racing career because I had a hurt knee and I couldn't get over it. I'm like, what is my deal? It's like, look at these people who have overcome so much more. It's like, you're such a wimp, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
There's other things that you probably don't realize were happening that at the
Yeah.
same time that were factors in it. But I
Yeah.
do I do think like when I was, I raced BMX, I raced professionally. I sabotaged myself.
Right.
It's like I didn't, I coached baseball for a lot of years with my son, and they always talk about somebody that pitches, they always talk about their makeup, right? Their mental makeup. You need to be able to you know, just not be affected by, just be indifferent to a lot of things. Somebody hits a home run, just get, well, okay, just get back
There
on
you
the
go.
mound, throw the next
Right.
pitch. It doesn't matter. Did you strike the guy out? Did he hit a home run? Doesn't matter. I got to throw the next pitch. You know, and so many times a young person, you just get so distracted and you just don't, yeah, you can't focus on the next thing, the most important thing. You end up doing the thing that's not important or get caught up in something that you shouldn't be caught up in. You should be, just, yeah. So
We've come
makeup is
full
a big
circle
part
to
of it.
negative. We've come full circle to negative self-talk, right?
Yeah,
It's like a
yeah,
bad penny. It just keeps
yeah.
showing up.
It does. It does.
Right.
All right. Well, let's end it on some positive. So, one of the ones I really enjoyed was having Rob Kaplan on,
Oh
and
yeah.
yeah, and Rob, Dave, did you ever know Rob Kaplan?
I think so.
Probably not. I can see where you might have missed each other, but Rob was really he's a sales guy, very professional sales guy, and I just remember he was like the first young sales guy uh, that me as a shop employee uh, I really connected with him, and he was a younger sales rep. All the other sales reps were older, and it just seemed like not a job that was even possible for a younger person in the bike industry. And then there was Rob, and Rob,
Yeah.
he and I felt like he was better than the older guys, and maybe it was because we were closer in age and we, could connect differently. That impacts things, I'm sure, on some level. But he was also just super professional, still is super professional to this day. And
Yeah.
it was great getting him on, and he was somebody that was on the e-bike train so far ahead of everybody else. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, yeah, way
Yeah.
ahead of the industry. And
Right.
now he's a sales manager for Bowles, and seems like he's doing good. But yeah, that was really fun getting him back in here. And
Yeah, and he's such a genuine guy. I've
yep,
obviously like you, I've worked with him since I was young,
yep,
and even though he comes in as a sales rep, you can a lot of times you can see the pitch and
hmm
come in, but it's those that or you feel who are genuine are the ones you typically like to align with. And he was always one of those sales reps.
Definitely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're not too bad either.
Yeah, I have my moments. All right. And then, one of the more recent ones was Jess Hannah, Jess the
Yeah.
Maker.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And
She
man,
was so fun, dude. She's so
oh,
cool.
definitely super fun. She's an influencer. Dave, are you familiar with Jess the Maker?
No, I saw that. I saw your when I was scrolling through the old ones. I saw that, and I had no idea. I didn't have time to look her up. So,
Just click on her Instagram. It's amazing. There's all the cool videos she's doing. So amazing.
She's so fun. It's really interesting with cycling influencers because it's for me anyway. I can't speak for you guys, but sometimes it's just too influencery for me. Like it's just a little too staged or fake, or I don't know what it is. Because certainly some of Jess's stuff is, I mean, it's all staged too. But
Right.
it's just, I don't know if it's just the content is better, it's more creative, it just hits different. There's some
It,
influencers that,
it's who she is though. Like,
yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
like you could see it on the podcast. It's like that's who she was. She wasn't pretending to be something else, putting up some
yeah,
fake, videos. It's like that's the kind of person she is.
yeah. And I think that's the thing I like about her page so much is that she isn't trying to be some pro, she's just, she's just
She's not trying to be the fastest chick, fastest girl
no,
out there.
yeah,
She's just like, I'm
she's a
having fun. Bikes
goofball.
are great. Yeah.
Yeah, she's a
Yeah.
goofball, and I love that.
Yeah.
And yeah, her content's just super fun.
I'll have to
And
look her up. Yeah.
it was one of those ones where you get her on the podcast, and it was even better than I could have imagined going into it because
Yeah.
just like you said, she's just such a character. And I mean, last but not least, let's talk about Jose at Danville Bike.
Oh, Mr. Jose.
We had him on at one point. Dave and Jose were at each other. They were at odds with each other, as you can imagine,
He
competitors
was
in
at
Yeah.
a
odds with me. I like him.
yeah.
And we get along good now, but he was at odds with me. I mean, when
You were trying
yeah,
to, take a piece of his pie, so, and you
but
did.
but
You did
but
for a
you
period of time.
gave me that piece of
I was
pie,
gonna
Mike.
say, look at the guy here in the middle. Look at that
You
guy. He's
gave
the
me that piece
instigator.
of pie.
Hey, I love both you
So,
guys, what can I
Of
say?
course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
but for whatever, whatever, if there was any animosity and for whatever, he's like, Chris, it's like you, man. It's to survive that long and do it for that long. And, you guys had the secret sauce. You got the formula. And so you just have to give a huge shout out and a lot of respect for the guy that has been doing it for that long and keeps it alive. And, so
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Like we're about to have a guest on soon, and similar experience. We had a working relationship that didn't work out, and it took a few years to kind of put it to the side. But then I realized, it's like all the great things he had done or is doing, and you learn to appreciate them.
Yeah.
yeah.
The thing I appreciate most about Jose is, all the years and he still has that fire. He keeps it fun, man. You go in there, I mean, I watch it all the time where he's just fun with customers. He does like a little bit of Mexican, a little bit of Spanish, a little bit of English sometimes, and just like everything's like keeps you on your toes, and he gets people laughing, and he's having fun, they're having fun, and just to have that fire and that energy after all these years, it's something I really admire about him. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. He's a good guy for sure.
yeah,
I like Jose.
yeah, no doubt. All right. Well, listen, guys. I mean, obviously, there's maybe some people that we didn't mention, but I think we did a pretty good job covering. Uh,
Yeah.
oh, you know what? I would be remiss if I did not bring up a hero of mine. As a kid, I mean, I just looked up. I mean,
No,
this guy,
Mike, it's
dude.
okay. You don't have to cover. You don't have to talk about
Yeah,
it. It's
Dave, we're
okay.
so excited you're back.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I didn't know you when I was a kid, maybe.
Yeah. Oh. Okay.
But
So,
but I'm talking about, of course, the great. King of the skate parks, Eddie Fiola.
Oh,
What a treat that was having him on. And man, yeah, that guy. I mean, when you think about legendary BMX figures, he's right up there on Mount Rushmore with
yeah,
some of the greats. And it was just so cool getting him on and hearing his story and how he all started with the bike and the bike got ripped off and then he got a skateboard and then he realized that was too hard to get around, so he got another bike and then that thank goodness
yeah,
he did because
yeah.
that's what catapulted him and then he started riding the skate parks and yeah.
My tech in at the store in Castro Valley is a BMX guy, and I might have name dropped a few times just to impress him, and he's like, "Oh, you mean so and so?" And I was like, "Yeah." So he knows anyone who
Oh
rides
yeah.
BMX knows about this guy. So
Oh yeah. Yeah, he was incredible. It was who did we have on where they're talking? Oh, we were talking with one of our future episodes that's going to come out where it's like the right person at the right place at the right time. Um, that was Eddie Fiola. And it
mhm.
was like the birth of BMX in a skate park. He was there. He was the best at it and had this incredible style. I would liken it to like if you think about skateboarding, right? There was Tony Hawk and there was Christian Hosoi. And Tony Hawk could just do all the tricks, was an unbelievable master of tricks. But Christian Hosoi was the king of style. And when you think about Eddie Fiola back in those days, I mean, he was just the king of style. And
Mm.
it was the bikes that he would build, the kits he would wear, the helmets, everything about this dude. I mean, it was just buttoned up. So, yeah, he was somebody that really inspired me as a kid, as you can tell, as I'm going on and on and on about it.
Yeah,
You guys are like, yeah, that was really great, Mike.
yeah. BMX,
So it was a
what?
good one. It was a good one
Yeah,
because
yeah, he was really
honestly,
good.
I went
Yeah.
into that one. I don't know fuck all about BMX, right? And that was good.
Yeah. Yeah. And to be a stunt man too, that's just pretty cool. He had some cool stunt man stuff he was sharing with us.
Yeah.
Yeah, very cool. Man, well, okay. So, I mean, we should probably wrap it up, but I want to thank both of you guys and of course, all of our amazing guests. It's just
Yeah.
been it's so fun, man. This thing is just it's I feel so fortunate that, when we started this thing in 2021, I mean, I don't nobody really had a clue where we were going to go or how many we'd do. And here we are now, we're 180 episodes in. And I look forward to every week, these guests come on and it's just, I get excited about it every week.
Yeah.
And yeah,
It's hard
Yeah,
not to
no,
watch. It's hard not to watch the video and just be like entranced, like I'm just listening to you. It's just like,
yeah,
yeah,
but
they're great guests. Yeah,
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 it's amazing that some of these I find it amazing that some of these guests have like Phil Guyman has agreed to come on and actually talk to us, right?
yeah,
Or Matt Fitzgerald, or Jack Ultra Cyclist, that they
yeah,
agree and come on to these things, and they're so personable and supportive on Gore. Like I've had Diamond has donated cookie product to my charities, and so
yeah,
somehow you make, I mean, I'm not on the Christmas card list, but somehow you make a connection and it seems to endure. And I think it probably speaks to the fact that they probably had a good time on the podcast as well, that they would stick around and still communicate and respond and whatnot. So I'm super amazed at the caliber of the guests that come on. But and we thank them, but let's not also forget to thank the people that listen, because what's the point if they're
yeah,
not listening?
right.
And
absolutely.
so yeah,
Yeah.
kudos to them.
Yeah, we've got
Yeah,
some loyal subscribers, and we appreciate them. That helps keep this thing going. And Chris and I have some different plans for 2025, and it's going to involve some travel and maybe some expense. And the subscribers really, they help us out with the cost of doing business. And we should put it out there if you are someone that listens to the podcast on a regular basis and you wanted to subscribe. We would love that. And you can do,
Absolutely.
yeah, you can do so. You go to Cycle Jerks podcast.buzzsprout.com and you hit the subscribe support button and you can choose anywhere from $3 to whatever you want to do a month. And it's not required by any stretch, and we appreciate everybody. But as we try to expand and bring more content and change things up a little bit, every little bit does help in that regard. So yeah, but sure, yeah, okay, I'm done asking for money now.
Shameless,
Yeah.
but it had to be said.
Anybody that
Yeah,
listens to the podcast, we really appreciate it. We'd love the feedback. We don't get a ton of it. We would love to see more feedback from you out there. And if you're aware of some great cyclists, people, cycling industry people, or people that have these incredible cycling stories, that's what we're all about. I think you can tell by the diversity of the people that we've talked about here today. We've got athletes, influencers, people that run companies, race promoters, shop owners, salespeople. I mean, we try to bring a real diverse mix of people to the table and share their stories. So certainly, if you're aware
yeah,
of somebody or someone out there that you think would be a great guest, please let us know. You can hit us on our Instagram or just comment anywhere on the YouTube, whatever. We'll reach out and try to make that happen.
absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. I gotta
All right.
go.
Okay. All right, Dave. Yeah.
I have to pee for the second time.
Oh my God.
Jeez.
All right, Dave. Too much Diet Coke for you.
All right,
God.
Yeah,
guys. Well,
right.
Yeah.
thank you for the invite. This was it was
Yeah.
great. It was
Yeah.
great.
It's
Good
great
to
having
see
you
you,
on,
Ben.
Dave.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure, Dave.
All right. And that's going to do it. Thanks, everybody. And we got plenty of more exciting stuff coming your way in 2025. So stay
Look
tuned.
forward to it.
Yeah.
Happy New
Awesome.
Year.
Yeah. Happy New Year.